Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Deadly Towers, brought to us by Irem. Deadly Towers is a very early attempt at an adventure game from Irem. They would go on to later create some very solid titles, but unfortunately Deadly Towers is considered one of the worst games available for the NES. And while it does have a lot of flaws, once you get the hang of the gameplay, Deadly Towers isn't as bad as it's made out to be. Probably one of the worst things though about the game has to be the soundtrack to the game. Every time you enter a room, the soundtrack of the song you're listening to resets back to the beginning, so you're basically going to be hearing the beginning of a song over and over. So here we go with Deadly Towers for the NES. Thankfully, at the beginning of Deadly Towers, it actually explains the entire story for you, which is something we didn't get to see all the time in NES titles. So as you saw, our goal in Deadly Towers is to take over and destroy 7 sacred bells that are set up in order to summon an evil army. In Deadly Towers, you can lose health very quickly, as enemies will be able to hit you multiple times in only a couple of seconds. You really have no recovery time in the game. Also, with your weapon, you can only fire out one shot at a time. So if you fire and miss a shot and your sword's still on screen, you're not able to fire another one. However, if you're close to an enemy, like this dragon, you're able to mash the button as fast as possible and keep getting their swords out, and can quickly destroy certain enemies. Getting close enough to the enemy without actually running into them is pretty much the best strategy in order to take most of them out. There's going to be some enemies where it's almost impossible to exact track them down, so your goal is really to keep firing swords until eventually you make contact, and once you do, get on there and keep attacking until they're gone. You can see our health at the top of the screen. Right now I have 100 out of 130 possible health. Those big white circles with the hearts in them increase your health by 10. And there's a good amount of them throughout the game. You can actually get over 200 health if you collect them all. Just like many early adventure games, it's really a giant maze, and it's really hard to kind of find your way through, especially on your first couple of playthroughs. So without a guide, this game can be very, very difficult. Enemies in the game will drop hearts that increase your health back, as well as they're going to drop different lyra. Lyra is the money system throughout the game. You can only hold 250 of the lyra at a time, which is unfortunate, and is one of the downfalls of the game, so you can't stock up on a lot of money and use it all at one time. Our goal early on is to actually head towards the area of the towers, but before we're actually able to enter that area, we're going to be stopping and grinding for some money. We need some money so that we can actually buy some scrolls as well as a little bit of new armor. Here's probably the quickest money-making area of the game. Walk in this room, turn to the right, and immediately attack this enemy. You'll usually get at least 2 or 3 of the big lyra every time you do this. So what you want to do is kill the enemy, grab the lyra, exit, then make sure you enter it on the left side of the screen, because that way you'll enter the room on the left side being next to the enemy instead of right over top of them, so you have enough space to turn over to the right and actually be able to fire at them. keep doing this till you have 250 Lyra. Then enter the shop by entering into this circle, and you'll end up in a shop. Buy the sword your first time through, then go over and buy the helmet. Be sure to press the select button and equip both of these items. Then, we're going to go right back to grinding for some money to get back up to 250 so we can start buying some scrolls. Once we have 250 Lyra again, we're now going to go into the right room. Try to get past these scorpions as best as possible, and in the next room watch out for the two big enemies as we go up, and then enter the shop on this room. Immediately in front of you is going to be one of the scrolls. It costs 100 right now. Pick up 2 of those. You'll be back down to 50 money. Now unfortunately, we're going to have to head back into that room and grind just a little bit more so that we're able to get back up to 250 to buy 2 more of those scrolls. Once you have enough money, head back over to the room that has the location of that shop so that we can purchase those 2 more scrolls. What this is going to allow us to do is fast travel out of the towers once we collect the bells in each of them. This will allow us to speed up a lot of the game. Once we have that, it's now finally time to start doing something in the game. Enter the circle in the middle of this flame room so that you can get to the main hub of the location of all the different bell towers. We're not going to be starting off by destroying any of the bells yet. We're going to be collecting some items which will greatly help us out when defeating these different towers. The first tower that we're heading towards is the Great Wings Tower. Inside this tower, as well as all the other towers, there's a parallel zone. Basically a clone of the area with different enemies, as well as usually hidden items. In the Great Wings Tower, we're going to this parallel zone in order to get some new armor to help us out. We won't be defeating the boss here yet, we'll be coming back and doing that much later on in the game. All the towers have pretty much the same setup. The colors and enemies change, but the overall layout is pretty much the same. The outside area leading up different staircases to get to the main front door, and then inside the tower itself, where you have different ladders set up to move up from level to level. The inside parts can be very annoying, especially with certain types of enemies that can gang up on you and get you stuck in corners or keep you from being able to get up ladders. While moving up a ladder, you actually can attack straight up. You can attack to the sides when you stop, but unfortunately not being able to attack straight up can get very annoying with certain enemies. On this platform on the left side, when you walk over to this side of the wall, you'll enter the parallel zone. Inside here, we'll have to go down a few floors in order to find the new armor. These ghost enemies are a huge pain. Hang out in the lower left corner of this platform and wait for them really to come to you and start taking them out. Take them all out before trying to head to the ladder to start heading down. Once we grab the armor, we're going to be sure to equip it, and then we're going to use one of the orange scrolls to get outside of the tower. Every time you use one of the orange scrolls, it takes you right back to the entrance area of all the towers. Now we're going to be heading over to another one of those towers. The second area we're going to enter is Wheeler's Tower. Inside here is the Magic Mace, an item that you can only use once, but will help us get another item in a different tower, and we will also be defeating our first tower boss and getting our first bell. Thankfully, some enemies, like those slimes, are easy to dodge since they just move up and down in the same spot, but as you've seen with the ghosts and later on with the bat enemies, they move completely random, so you have no idea where they're going to be going. Those enemies are absolutely the worst, and with only the one firepower that we currently have with our sword, those enemies, when you miss, it's crucial, and you may end up getting killed just because you can't fire any more shots out. Since we can fire diagonally while on the ladders, you may want to stand on the ladder and take out certain enemies from a distance to help you out, or bull rush up top of the ladder and then start immediately firing onto those enemies to try to take them out that way. Up here, on the right side of this platform inside the wall, is a secret room. Inside here is where the magic mace is. Start off by immediately attacking so that you can take out the enemies that are going to be right near the entrance to the area, grab the mace, and then head back to the main part of the tower. At the top of the tower is Wheeler. Now Wheeler has a rotating ball around him that keeps firing fireballs at you. Walk over to the left side of the room and start walking diagonally up right below this hole in the wall. This will allow us to keep walking in a diagonal direction and be able to fire in that direction. When he gets close to you, you may need to back away from the wall just to avoid some of the fireballs, but as soon as he starts heading back towards the right, start walking up against the wall and continue firing your shots. Using the wall to continue walking diagonally is great help here, especially considering normally when you walk in a diagonal direction you have to keep walking in order to fire that way, because as soon as you stop walking you'll end up facing north or south depending upon which way you were going. Wheeler will take a good amount of shots, especially considering we really don't have an upgraded weapon, so you just have to really stay against this wall and just hope that he doesn't start gang rushing you with those fireballs. Once he's done, the room flashes and we can grab the first bell. Once we grab the bell, use one of the scrolls to get outside. Now here's where the burning of the bells comes into play. Up this ladder you'll see that flame. Walk up close to it with one of the bells in your inventory, and you'll be able to destroy it in the sacred flame. Also by doing that, you'll get full health again. This tower is Beet Plant's tower. We're not going to be defeating him yet, but we have a quick stop to make here. This is where the magic mace comes into play. Use it and walk into the lower right corner. You'll enter a secret room. Having this equipped will greatly help you take out the bats that are flying all around in this room. Once those are taken care of, collect the items that it drops and then grab the shield in the middle of the room and be sure to equip it. We now have a lot better defense overall. Once we have that, we're going to immediately exit out of this tower and head to a different one. This is the Tower of Centipede. Here we're going to be getting another piece of our armor, this time the helmet, as well as we'll be taking out the boss. This is also where the bats start really coming into play during the tower sections. These bats move in a completely random direction and they move all around you rather quickly, and with your slow moving sword it can be rather hard to actually do damage to them.